The twin suns of planet Karzul burned down on the wide dust fields, turning the air dry and golden. The land was empty, with only broken rocks and sand that never stayed still. Human soldier Daniel Ward had never liked escort missions, but this one seemed easy. No enemies, no storms, just a straight path to the alien outpost. He walked beside the alien diplomat, boots crunching over the cracked earth, his rifle strapped on his back. But peace on Karzul never lasted long. Without warning, the ground shook. A loud screech ripped through the air, followed by shadows moving fast over the rocks. Daniel dropped into a crouch, reaching for his rifle just as energy blasts exploded around them. The diplomat screamed and ducked. It was an ambush. Dozens of cloaked raiders, their skin like blackened steel, rushed from all sides. Daniel fired quickly, hitting two before diving behind a jagged stone. The aliens spoke a language he didn't understand, but their weapons spoke clearly: kill or be killed. Daniel rolled and fired again, but they kept coming. Then, across the battlefield, he saw her, a young alien girl barely standing, holding a long curved sword that shimmered with strange light. Her white armor was cracked, her purple skin marked with cuts. She was surrounded by raiders. She slashed once, twice, but her movements were slow, tired. Her foot slipped, and she dropped to her knees. The sword fell beside her, half buried. In the dust, Daniel didn't think. He just ran. Blasts flew past him. One clipped his shoulder. Pain burned through him, but he didn't stop. He dived into the middle of the chaos, kicking one raider away from the girl. Another swung a plasma axe at him, but Daniel ducked and grabbed the sword from the ground. It felt warm in his hands, almost alive. He had no idea what it was. He didn't care. With a shout, he swung the blade. The sword moved like it knew how to fight. In one sweep, it cut down two attackers. Sparks flew. The others paused, confused. They stared at the sword glowing in Daniel's human hands. The girl looked up at him, eyes wide in shock, not from the rescue, but from what he had just done. "You touched it," she whispered. Daniel didn't hear her. He fought on, blocking strikes with the glowing blade, pushing the raiders back step by step. When more of them ran in, gunfire from the ridge lit the air. Human backup had arrived. The raiders scattered, leaving behind dust and bodies. Daniel dropped to one knee, panting. Blood ran down his arm. The alien girl stood slowly, staring at him, not in fear, but in a strange silence. Her hand reached toward the sword. He held it out to her, but she didn't take it. "You wielded the Kaivar blade," she said, voice shaking. Daniel blinked. "What? I just picked it up." "You were in trouble." Her lips trembled. "That sword is sacred. It belongs to my bloodline. It chooses only those meant to bond with it." He laughed weakly. "Well, tell it thanks for the help." She didn't laugh back. Her name was Kalara, and Daniel had just broken a law older than her world. All around them, her people started to gather, silent warriors with sharp eyes, watching the human who now held their most holy weapon. Daniel had saved her life, but by lifting that sword, he had changed both their fates forever. The stars above Karzul had changed color by the time Daniel sat near the healing tent. His wounded arm had been patched up, but the real injury was the confusion burning in his mind. All he did was grab a sword, fight off some raiders, save a girl. But ever since then, the alien warriors had been treating him like royalty, or a criminal. No one spoke to him directly. They only stared. Except one. Cassie, Lara. She entered the tent slowly, wearing clean armor now, her violet skin glowing softly under the lanterns. The long mark on her face, an old scar, stood out like a symbol of something deeper. She sat across from him, eyes locked, body tense. "You still don't understand, do you?" she asked quietly. Daniel leaned forward. "Understand what?" "I saved you, that's it." "No," she said, her voice flat. You didn't just save me. You touched the Kaivar blade. Daniel shrugged. Yeah, because you dropped it. You're not listening. She looked away for a moment, then back at him. That blade is not a weapon. It's a sacred bond marker. Only one person outside of my bloodline can ever wield it, and that person becomes my protector. Daniel raised an eyebrow. Protector? Like a guard? Kalara's voice dropped lower. No, protector means husband. He froze. What did you just say? You didn't just save my life, she continued. You entered an ancient contract. My people saw it. The blade accepted you. That makes you my chosen. If the clan accepts it, you and I are bound. Forever. Daniel blinked, speechless. His thoughts raced. He had no idea a rescue could turn into a marriage proposal. There has to be a mistake, he said finally. I'm human. I don't even know your customs. Kalara nodded. Yes, that's why I've kept it secret for now. If my clan makes it official, you can't walk away. Then why not tell them the truth? That it was an accident? Her eyes softened. Because there is no such thing as an accident with the Kaivar. It only lights up for one who is pure of intent and strong of heart. That's you, Daniel. Whether you believe it or not. Daniel stood up, pacing. Look, I came here to escort a diplomat, not become part of some alien wedding. I know, Kalara said. And I didn't ask for this either. But if the elders find out you've rejected the bond, it won't be me they punish. It will be you. He stopped. What does that mean? Kalara sighed. To them, rejecting the sword is rejecting our way. And those who dishonor the bond face exile or death. A heavy silence fell between them. Then Kalara whispered, almost to herself, You should have let me fall. Daniel turned sharply. No, I don't regret saving you. But this is too much. She stood now too, shoulders stiff. Then leave before sunrise. Don't speak to the elders. Don't touch the sword again. Maybe we can still undo this. But what about you? Kalara looked away. I'll handle it. I always do. And with that she walked out, leaving Daniel alone in the tent, heart pounding. Outside, the stars of Karzul continued to glow, and deep beneath the camp, the ancient fire pools of her clan began to stir, because the sword had chosen a protector, and the bond could not be ignored much longer. Daniel woke up to the sound of drums, slow, deep, and ancient. The kind of sound that echoed through your bones before your ears even caught it. He opened his eyes, still inside the alien tent, but something was different now. The air felt hot. Like fire had crept into the fabric of the camp. Outside, the sun had not yet risen, but a line of alien warriors stood in formation. Kalara wasn't among them. A tall alien with a white crest and a heavy robe stepped into the tent. His face was marked with silver paint, and his eyes burned with age-old knowledge. You are called to the trial of flame, he said in a voice like stone cracking. Daniel stood slowly. I don't know what that means. You touched the Kaivar blade, the elder said. It has spoken. The trial is your path now. Step forward, or be burned by cowardice. 2 guards flanked him, but didn't force him. They waited for his choice. Daniel could have run. He thought about it, but something in his gut pushed him forward. He didn't want to shame Kalara, and he wasn't the type to back down from a challenge. Even if he didn't understand it yet, he followed them through the rocky pass until they reached a deep ravine. Lava cracked below, glowing in reds and oranges. Stone bridges crossed over the fire. Alien markings glowed on every surface, like the rocks were alive with old memories. Kalara was already there, standing beside the elders. She didn't look happy. The trial of flame is sacred. The elder spoke loudly now. The one who wields the Kaivar must walk through the 3 gates: strength, spirit, and sacrifice. If he survives, the bond is sealed. If he fails... The elder paused. The bond is broken, but so is the body. Daniel looked at Kalara. You didn't tell me it was a death trial. I told you to leave, she said quietly. Too late. Now, he muttered. The first gate appeared as a stone arch covered in shifting vines that hissed with heat. The elder pointed. Gate of strength, face the beast. A wall opened, and out came a creature Daniel had never seen, like a lizard, but 10 feet tall, covered in black bone plates and fire leaking from its mouth. It roared, shaking the bridge. Daniel gulped. No gun, of course. He had only one weapon, the same glowing sword. The beast charged. Daniel barely dodged, rolling aside. The bridge cracked under its weight. The heat made it hard to breathe. He struck once, twice, but the blade bounced off the creature's armor. Then he remembered what Kalara had told him the night before. It's not just a sword. It reacts to truth. He focused. Thought about why he was really here, not just to survive, but because he wanted to protect her, even if the rest made no sense. The sword pulsed in his hands. He jumped forward, blade glowing brighter, and struck between the plates. The creature howled and fell into the fire below. The crowd above cheered. The second gate opened. Gate of spirit. Inside was silence. No fire, just mirrors. Hundreds of them, each showing Daniel's face, but then they changed. One mirror showed him running away from Kalara. Another showed him lying, breaking promises. Another showed him dead, unloved, forgotten. His hands trembled, but then he spoke aloud, voice steady. I don't know what fate wants from me, but I won't betray her. I'll stand by Kalara, even if she never wants me. That's my truth. The mirrors faded. The gate opened. Final gate. Gate of sacrifice. This time, Kalara herself stepped forward. The last test is mine, she said softly. If you pass, the bond becomes unbreakable. But to pass, you must give up your world, your home, your people. You'll become one of us, forever. Daniel stared at her. Everything I know, gone? She nodded. He closed his eyes. Then opened them. I'll still have you, right? Kalara didn't speak. She just nodded once, eyes wide with emotion. Daniel stepped through the final gate. The flames rose high around him but didn't burn. The trial of flame had chosen. The human had passed. But now, he could never go back. The trial of flame was over. But Daniel's true test had just begun. He stood in the middle of the Moonfire Hall, the most sacred place in Kalara's clan. Silver fire danced along the walls. Ancient banners swayed above. Around him, dozens of alien nobles, tall, proud, and dressed in ceremonial armor, watched with unreadable eyes. Daniel had faced monsters, flames, even his fears. But this room, filled with alien royalty, felt more dangerous than all three. Kalara stood beside him, her hands folded tightly. She didn't smile. Her face was calm, but Daniel could see the tension in her shoulders. She had warned him, the elders might not accept him. They respected the trial, yes, but they didn't trust humans. Elder Vikar, the High Speaker, stepped forward. You have passed the flames. The sword still glows in your hand. But we must decide, are you worthy to stand beside our heir? Daniel stayed quiet, unsure if he was allowed to speak. Kalara's voice rang clear. He saved my life. He fought for us. The blade chose him. That should be enough. The hall stirred with murmurs. One noble, tall and cold, stepped forward. His armor was trimmed with gold, and his eyes held sharp anger. I am Joran, son of the council. I trained beside Kalara. I bled for our people. And yet, this outsider, this human, he used to take the place that was meant for me? Daniel's jaw clenched. So this was the rival Kalara had mentioned, Joran sneered. Let us test him not with flames but with truth. Elder Vikar nodded slowly. A fair request. Let the human speak his purpose. All eyes turned to Daniel. His throat felt dry, but he stepped forward, simple, honest. I didn't come here to take anything. I didn't even know what that sword meant. But I do know this Kalara was going to die, and I couldn't let that happen. I picked up the blade to protect her, not to win her. I don't want your crown. I just want to stand by her, if she let me." The room was silent. Then something unexpected happened. A pulse of light came from the Kaivar blade. A single, glowing wave that filled the room with warmth. The elders gasped. Even Joran stepped back. Elder Vikar turned slowly. "The blade does not lie. His words are true." Another elder whispered, "The sword accepts him as protector." And yet, not everyone looked pleased. That night, as the royals left, Kalara pulled Daniel aside. "You won some of them," she said. "But not all." He raised an eyebrow. "Let me guess, Joran?" She nodded. "He still believes you're unworthy. He'll try something. He always does." Daniel looked out at the glowing city below, high in the cliffs. "So what now?" "Am I your husband?" Kalara turned to him, her voice soft. "Not yet. The final rite hasn't been done. The binding ceremony is still days away. Until then, you are being watched. Every move, every word." Daniel sighed. "No pressure." She smiled for the first time. A small, honest smile. "I never wanted a bond," she said. "But if I had to be bound to someone, I'm glad it's you." Daniel looked at her. "Even if I'm just a clueless human." She reached out and touched his hand. "You're more than that. You faced fire. You told the truth. That's more than most nobles ever do." But in the shadows above the hall, Joran watched Dot, and deep in his heart, a plan began to burn, one that would either destroy the bond or end the human who dared to take what was meant for him. The cliffs of Karzul shimmered under twin moons, casting soft violet light over the palace towers. Inside a quiet chamber near the top, Daniel Ward sat on a stone balcony, staring out at stars he couldn't name. The alien city below was beautiful, spiraling bridges, floating lanterns, music carried by wind, but he didn't feel like part of it. Not yet. He heard the soft rustle of armor behind him. Kalara entered, dressed not in battle gear but a simple robe, the color of royal dusk. Her long hair fell over her shoulders, loose, untied. This was not the commander he'd fought beside. This was the woman the sword had bound him to. "Do you miss your world?" she asked gently, stepping beside him. Daniel gave a soft laugh. "I miss coffee and real chairs." She smiled, faint but real. "We have chairs." "Yeah," he nodded. "But they're made of stone." Silence passed between them, not awkward, just quiet. Kalara sat down beside him, her eyes on the sky. "You've changed things, Daniel. Our laws, they weren't made for someone like you." He glanced at her. "Someone like me? A human, a stranger, a man who didn't want power but ended up with it anyway." Daniel leaned back on his elbows. "I don't want thrones or titles. I want to figure out what this bond means for real." Kalara looked down at her hands. "In my culture, bonding isn't just a title. It's deeper than marriage. It's spiritual. It means we share pain, memory, even instincts." Daniel went still. "So you can feel what I feel?" She nodded slowly, only a little. "For now. The full link won't activate until the final ceremony. But sometimes, I hear your heart." He blinked. "That's terrifying." She laughed. "A real one this time, but," she added, "it's also comforting. When I'm alone, I can feel you near, even when we're apart." Daniel studied her face. She looked tired. Not from war or politics, but from carrying too much alone. "You know," he said quietly, "you don't always have to be strong." Kalara turned to him, surprised. "What do you mean?" "I've seen the way they look at you, like you're a symbol, a weapon, a future ruler. But who looks at you like a person?" She didn't answer. Instead, she whispered, "No one. Not since my mother died." Daniel nodded. Well, I see you. Kalara's lips parted slightly. A soft breath caught in her throat. For a moment, they just sat there, alien and human, warrior and outsider together in the quiet. Then, gently, Kalara reached out and placed her hand over his. They didn't speak after that. They didn't need to, because in that silence, something powerful bloomed. Trust. Not the kind written in scrolls or declared by kings. The quiet kind. The kind that grows in dark places, without anyone noticing, until suddenly it's stronger. Then steel. Down in the city, bells began to chime. Tomorrow was the binding ceremony. And both of them, in their hearts, knew. This bond was no longer forced. It was becoming real. But above them, hidden in the shadows of the cliffs, Joran watched. With burning eyes. His pride wounded. His jealousy sharpened. He would not let Kalara belong to a human. Not without a fight. The sun of Karzel rose blood red on the day of the binding ceremony. Alien banners fluttered across the palace towers. Priests lit silver fires. The great plaza filled with nobles, soldiers, and citizens from every corner of the Star clans. They had come not just to witness a rare sacred bond, but to judge it. Daniel stood near the altar, dressed in ceremonial armor. His human frame didn't quite fit the alien curves and sharp edges, but he stood tall, calm on the outside. Storming on the inside, Kalara stood opposite him, dressed in deep violet robes. Her eyes never left his. They both knew this moment would change their lives. But just as the priest stepped forward to speak, a voice cut through the air like a blade. I challenge the bond. Gasps echoed through the crowd. From the front row, Joran stepped into the circle. His armor was darker than night, trimmed with bloodstone. His eyes locked on Daniel, full of fire. I, Joran, son of Vyros, call upon the ancient right of clash. Before claim, he declared. Let Bladen will decide who is worthy of Kalara. Kalara stepped forward. You can't. Yes, he can, the priest interrupted grimly. It is an old law, but still valid. Daniel clenched his fists. Let me guess. I lose and she's his? The elder nodded. If you fall or yield, the bond is broken. The ceremony ends, and Joran will claim her. Kalara turned to Daniel, her voice tight with fear. You don't have to do this. We can leave, we can run. He looked at her calm now. I've been running my whole life, but not today. The crowd formed a circle. The Kaivar blade was returned to Daniel's hand. It pulsed softly, as if alive. Joran raised his own weapon, a long energy spear that crackled with violet lightning. He was taller, trained, a native of this world. The favorite. But Daniel had something else. He had heart. The match began. Joran struck first, fast and deadly. Daniel barely blocked the blow, the energy burning his arms. He rolled, slashed, ducked. The crowd watched in tense silence. Kalara's heart pounded in her chest. Every strike, every fall, she felt it. You're not one of us, Joran growled, pushing Daniel back. You're a tourist with a sword. Daniel grunted, blocking a powerful blow. Maybe, but I'm the one she trusts. Joran lunged again, this time cutting Daniel's shoulder. Blood spilled onto the white stone floor. The crowd gasped. Kalara stepped forward, but the priest held her back. Daniel fell to one knee. Joran lifted his spear for the final strike, but then Daniel looked up. Breathing hard, blood dripping down his arm. I didn't come here to fight you, he said. But I won't let you take her like she's a prize. She's not a trophy, she's a person. She's Kalara. The Kaivar blade glowed suddenly bright, blinding. A pulse of light knocked Joran back. He stumbled, losing his grip. Daniel stood slowly, sword raised, not to attack, but to protect. The crowd was silent again. Then the priest stepped forward. Enough. The blade has spoken. The bond is true. The challenge is over. Joran stood still, breathing heavy. eyes full of rage but defeated. Daniel turned to Kalara. Their eyes met. No words needed. They walked together back to the altar. This time, no one interrupted. As the final words of the ceremony echoed through the plaza, the light of the sword faded softly into both their hands. They were bound now not by law or fire, but by choice. The stars over Karzul burned brighter that night. 1,000 alien lights danced through the sky like glowing feathers, falling over the city in soft waves. The celebration had begun. Music, fire dances, chants and cheers, but Daniel Ward didn't feel like a hero. He stood alone on the high balcony of the Moonfire Tower, the Kaivar blade resting across his lap. It no longer glowed, it no longer pulsed, it was calm, like it had done what it was meant to do. He had passed the trial, won the challenge, and sealed the bond. But in his heart, a single question echoed. Was this truly his place? Behind him, footsteps approached, quiet, graceful, familiar. Kalara. She was no longer in robes, no crown, no formal armor, just her. Honest, raw, radiant in her natural strength. She stood beside him, looking out at the same stars. Everyone is asking where you are, she said. Daniel nodded. Just needed to breathe. All these titles and rituals, it's a lot. She was silent for a moment. Then softly, you're not alone anymore. You don't have to carry everything by yourself. He turned to look at her. And you've always carried everything. Kalara smiled. Not anymore, you're here now. They stood quietly. The sky lit with flamebirds and the distance creatures, only seen during bond ceremonies. Their wings sparkled as they flew together in perfect harmony. Daniel looked down at the sword. So, what happens next? Kalara turned toward him. Now the sword belongs to us both, but more than that. Our souls are linked. We share strength, memory, even pieces of future. He raised an eyebrow. Pieces of future? She stepped closer. Sometimes we dream the same dream, or feel the same danger. The bond isn't just love, it's protection, purpose, legacy. Daniel looked into her eyes. And what if I mess it all up? Kalara's fingers touched his chest, just over his heart. You've already saved me, Daniel. Not just from death, but from being alone in a world where I was always expected to lead, to fight, to never break. She stepped even closer, voice barely a whisper. With you, I can be myself. For the first time in his life, Daniel didn't feel like a soldier, or an outsider, or a stranger. He felt like a partner, a protector, a husband. Not because of a sword, not because of tradition, but because she chose him to. Slowly, Kalara lifted her hand. He took it, and at that moment, the Kaivar blade lit up once more, not with blinding power, but with soft, warm light. A glow that wrapped around them both. The bond wasn't just complete. It was alive. Far below, the people of the city cheered for their new royal pair, and high above, the stars seemed to shift, just slightly, as if the universe itself had witnessed the moment. Daniel Ward, the human who once only came to escort a diplomat, had now become something greater, that he was no longer a visitor in this world. He was now husband of the blade.